welcome. Bill Caskey here live today. Today, we're going to talk about mindset. Here's my question for you. Do you ever feel like you're in a dilemma, you're in a fix, as they used to say, between what you want to get out of your business and what you know you should be paying attention to, which is customers, prospects, and employees? And I think it's a dilemma. I see it all the time in sales professionals where I come in and say, look, here's 5 things you need to be thinking about, which I'm going to go over today. And you or they would say, well, yeah, but what about me? What about my goals? And what about my interests? And what about my time? And what about, and that's okay. That's perfectly normal. And so I want to talk today about beliefs that we have in 2 areas, beliefs about self and belief about others. And I think we sometimes enter into this dilemma mode where, we're trying to take care of both, and we don't really see the connection of how if I take care of others, I'm going to be fine. I want to talk about that today a little bit because I want you to grow your income. The last couple of days we've been talking about business ascension. How do you ascend your business and not work harder in it, but get more out of it and sell more and make more money so that you can give that money to churches and charities and the needy and whatever else, retirement, kids. Because I do think that achievement is spiritual. I think we get locked into, well, it's very mechanical. It's very, I do this and I do this and I do this on Monday and this on Tuesday and go live every day, and therefore something good will happen. And it probably will, because a lot of life is about showing up and doing the work. But I do think that if we're not paying attention to the spiritual side, to the mental side, emotional side, which we're going to do today, then I think all that stuff can come unglued and we can go off the rails and we can start to sabotage ourselves, which we do all the time. We talked last week about fear of success. I think it's a big thing, even though very few agree with me. They're starting to agree with me finally. But let's talk about this mental dilemma of the mindset dilemma, which is how much attention do I pay to me versus how much attention do I pay to others? And here's the way I look at this, is that we are put on this planet in a way to do what we have been gifted for. If you believe in a spiritual walk, it's your creator has put us here, you here, and I here to get the most out of our lives, to create. We were made in his image, and his image is as a creator. So therefore we are here to create. I also think we're here to serve, to bless others. And so then we will get blessings. And that becomes a dilemma, because where does one start and stop, and where does one start and stop? So here's the way I look at it. There's a fundamental shift that I think has to happen. And if you can get these 5 things right, then I think this dilemma goes away. I just think it evaporates, because it's really not about either or. It's about if then. And so that we can generate more income. So here's a fundamental shift that I think we need to really embrace. And I'm going to create a PDF document and put it in the notes here so you can have it. I don't know if I can do a PDF. I think it's PDF. It has to be a PDF. And that is, I call it From Mindset to Money. And to me, it bridges that gap. It bridges that dilemma gap. Number one, it's all part of the fundamental shift that we teach in all of our programs. And number one is detachment. As I say, that you've got to be detached from the outcomes. It's hard to be detached from the outcomes if you don't have faith that everything's going to work out. We've all been through ups and downs in our business cycle where we look out and say, things don't look very bright. I guess I better attach myself more. I guess I better get a little needy and get a little, and I show up from a scarce attitude. And of course, we know that's not helpful, because people feel that. You think you hide it. You don't. I can't hide it, even though I think I do. And so step number one is to detach from the outcomes. And if we can detach from the outcomes, we can, hey, Mike, good morning. How are you? It's early in Denver, if you're in Denver. If we can detach from the outcomes, we become freer. That's when I say that achievement is a spiritual endeavor. It's because I want you to be free, not just physically free, but mentally and emotionally free. And it's hard to be free if we're detached. So number one is we've got to detach from the outcomes. Can't be entangled with an outcome. because this is where we start to say, well, we can be detached, but what if a customer uses me for information? What if they use me and take advantage of me and take advantage of my time? Well, that's up to you. They don't do that without your permission. So if they're taking advantage of you and they're using you and they're putting through you through all the hoops and they're, asking you to requote for the 17th time, you have sovereignty. You have sovereignty to say, nah, not going to do it anymore. But Bill, what happens if my owner of my VP of sales hears me say that? They're going to say, no, you get right back. You do the 18th through the 27th proposal revision. Well, you might be in the wrong company, because it's obvious their well-being is all about the numbers, not about you. If you've been through 17 proposal revisions, it's time to move on, maybe after the third. So I want us to think about detachment as an orientation. We are oriented to detach from the outcomes. When we are, we'll be better in the process. Number two, we have to operate from a place of high intent, not low intent. Low intent's where it's all about you and me, and it's not about the customer. So I want us to raise that intent. It's never going to be all about the customer. And it's folly to say, oh, I take myself totally out of it. No, you can't. You can't take yourself out of it. No. But I want it to be equal. I want it to be mostly about them, a little bit about me, because I know if my intent is high in the sales process, and I have a sales process, I'm not just winging it. I've got a sales process. And if my intent's high, I know good things are going to happen from that. And good things probably have something to do with rewards that we get, like money. And if we are of high intention, taking care of my customer and what their problems and pains are, then everything will take care of itself. So high intent is point number two in this fundamental shift. Now, how does that lead to money? Well, when we can suss out people's vibes. If you're in a scarce vibe and you really need the business, you don't think people feel that? Of course they do. Of course they do. So the higher your intent, the more this is about them and their issues and their problems and where they want to go, the more likely you are to link up your solution with their problems and therefore make the sale. So this idea that when it's all about me, it's better for me is not true. When it's rarely about you and it's more about them, that's what will make the sale. And that's how you grow your business. Okay. And these are all dilemmas in a way. It's like, okay, I know you say to focus on the customer, but really? I mean, what about me? All right. Number three is abundance. Abundance. Remember, I said earlier that we want to talk about the beliefs in self. What is there about me? And then what is there about the universe or others? And how do we interact that way? And I want you to believe, and this will get you out of this mental dilemma, I think, pretty quickly, is I want you to believe there's abundance in the universe. There's an abundance of prospects out there. They may not be in your pipeline. They may not be in your field of vision. They may not be. They may not know you exist. That's probably more true. When you think about if you're in a mass market, like I know some of you are in digital and some of you are in medical, and some of the, if you're selling to one client, if your only customer is Boeing, it's hard to get that abundance mentality, although they buy big stuff. So maybe you do. But when you sell to the masses like I do, I mean, I can call in a VP of sales in California or Spain, doesn't matter. And so, it's a lot easier to feel abundant when you really literally do have an abundance of prospects. But if you don't, the question then is there an abundance of pain? And there usually is. And the best kind of pain is the pain that they experience when you're not with them. You're not in their lives. You ever think about that? That maybe they have some kind of void in their life because you're not filling that void with your goodness and your value and your way, your vibe, how you interact with them. You could sell the exact same thing as a person down the street, and I know you might, and you would say, oh no, it's not the same. It's not the same. Our processes are different. And we have Helvetica type versus Times Roman. Okay, great. but you are the thing that makes the difference. Because if I have to put up with you as I'm buying your thing, I'm not going to do it. And other people won't do it. Versus if you are handling yourself from a place of high intent, abundance, detachment, I don't have to tolerate you. I want you to be around me. I want you there. And so I'm going to choose you over somebody that I'm tolerating because they don't know how to sell, they don't know how to communicate. So the idea of abundance is when you look out to the marketplace, you see abundance. And again, it's an abundance of pain, it's abundance of dilemmas that they have. Every company has dilemmas, and a lot of them relate to what you do. Okay, number 4. And what we're doing here, if you just joined us, is we're going through this idea of the mindset dilemma, and we're talking about how to resolve it. And this dilemma of, is this about them or is this about me? And I think it stays with us all the time. It hits us when we get up in the morning, and it works through us all day. Number 4 is the buyer-seller dance. And I want you to shift the buyer-seller dance. I don't want this to be about you convincing them that you have magic. I want this about them convincing you that they don't have magic, that they have dilemmas and frustrations. And this is an art form. And it's an art form that's difficult to learn. Once you learn it, it changes everything for you. It changes the entire sales process. It changes the joy that you wake up and want to spread to your prospects. It changes the idea of you posting videos like this or like others and posting content and being out there, being out there in the marketplace and not being so obscure. Right now, you're obscure. People don't know who you are. People don't know who I am because I don't do enough of these. I need to level this up, which I am. But if people don't know you, they can't trust you. And if they don't trust you, they can't engage and they can't buy. It's all about becoming known. And I'm not talking about spending 12 hours a day on Instagram or TikTok. I'm just saying that there's a medium, there's a place you can go to become known where people will recognize your value. So the buyer-seller dance is a script flipper. Did I say that right? Yeah, it's a script flipper. It's like, well, when I show up, I'm not selling. Why would you sell? The purpose of sales is to create the environment where they reveal to you what their issues are and where they're seeking value. You may have that value. You may not have that value. But the idea is to create the atmosphere with another human being, either through video or on a Teams call, Zoom call, face-to-face, where they are revealing to you the value they seek. And typically they seek value when they're looking to solve a problem or get to a new opportunity. Number 5, and this is a big one, and sales professionals today don't do this very well, and that is to position yourself as an expert. Position yourself as an expert. I'm not saying to run away from the sales mentality and the idea that you're there to collect money and deliver value and create those atmospheres, but I want you to be an expert. I want you to be the person that is sharing knowledge and information and value with them so that they look at you and say, we got to get Bill in here. We got to get Mike in here. Mike, you know what? Mike's teaching me things online I never learned about marketing or sales or medical devices. He's teaching me things I need to have him in my organization. He needs to be working with me. I need to be paying him a lot of money to come in and work with me. If you don't have anything out there working to position you as an expert, and again, I'm not talking about arrogant expertise and being arrogant about it. I'm talking about delivering value. I try to do it on these calls, and sometimes I succeed, sometimes I fail. But my intent is always to help you think about things you don't think about normally. Because I know we get wrapped up in our own world and we can go weeks, months, and years without thinking about how we act and how we think. And so that's the purpose of this. And so are you positioning yourself as an expert? Where is your expertise? How do you communicate? I was listening to a podcast the other day, and the guy had some he cited Warren Buffett, but he had some statistics about communication skills. And his philosophy is most of us are just crappy communicators. And the problem is not that we're crappy communicators. The problem is we think we're really good communicators. Think we're really good. Oh, I got this nailed. Do you need communication skills? Are you kidding me? I've been communicating since I was 5 and I'm 55. 50 years of communication. That doesn't mean you're good at it. Does not mean you're good. Doesn't mean I'm good just because I have a podcast and I have video channels and I'm always talking, as my wife says. But that doesn't mean I'm good at it. I've got to keep working on, well, how do I communicate ideas when I get up in front of people at a talk or a speech? How do I make the crowd feel comfortable? And how do I get these ideas from my brain into their ears? How do I do that effectively? If you're in and you've all probably shown up at speaking events where it's forgettable. I mean, how many speeches do you really remember? I don't remember that many, and I'm in the business. I'm always looking at, and I've been in front of some pretty good people. But the point is that don't overestimate your ability to communicate. If you want to get your business, your income, let's just say from 100 grand to 500 grand over the next whatever's comfortable, 5 years, 10 years, 2 years, it's all about communication. Not all, but it's a heavy lift. Being better at communicating your value, being better at sharing your value, communicating your uniqueness to an audience. It's not easy to do today because there's not a lot of time to do it. You have to do it pretty quickly. So those are the 5 things: detachment, high intent, abundance, buyer seller dance, and expert positioning. Those 5 areas represent the fundamental shift. And I think if you can get those and get good at those, then it becomes a lot easier to grow your business. All right. One thing I want to mention here before we go is I just wrote a book. I don't have it in front of me today. I promise I would always have it. 12 Bold Moves. You can go to 12boldmoves.com. Check it out. I've got a video there that talks about the book. You can learn all about it. If you want to buy it, that's great. It's an ebook, and I think it's going to help you reinvent your skills. And if you want to buy it for your team, just direct message me, and we'll make sure we get you some copies of it. Anyway, hope that helps you today. Dilemma, mindset. Be thinking about those 5 things: abundance, detachment, intent, expert positioning, and the buyer-seller dance. All right? And go to 12 Bold Moves, of course. All right. See you tomorrow. Bye.